My friend Sammy List was asking a question today that I think is personal to her, but leads up to a business-related question I've been having recently and trying to get information from people on. I actually tweeted out to Lama Surya Das recently because I thought maybe he could give me some information from a Buddhist standpoint about the notion of competition. I don't know exactly what's going on with Sammy because I didn't have a chance to read the whole thread she was posting about, but it sounded like she was having a little bit of a challenge with the notion of like competition with people in performance arts, aerial arts and stuff that she does. And then I have issues with competition related to business. You know, is there competition? This is something that I have thought about a lot recently, and Pema Chodron, when she talks about problems, says that essentially the only way out is through. That whatever you don't learn, you repeat. So what I notice is there are these concepts that will come up that cause me some degree of suffering because I'm fighting the way the world is, or I have a notion of how it should be in my head that doesn't meet up to the world around me. And it feels like I'm hitting my head against a brick wall repeatedly. And I'm like, man, this sucks. Like I keep, doing this again and again. And competition is one of those that I figured I would shoot this video to talk about it and maybe kind of work it out and bring you along with my journey thinking about that. Because as a massage therapist, is there competition? And I think absolutely not. As an educator, is there competition? And I think really absolutely not. And then on the whole, as a society, is there competition unless we set it up? So when the Redskins play the Braves, yes, there's competition. We've set that up. That's artificially, contrived. And competition in and of itself isn't bad. Competition in business and industry is actually really good for consumers because it tends to produce higher quality goods and lower the cost because people are competing for your market share. So when it comes to competition, fundamentally, I think it's an illusion. I don't really think it exists. And part of the challenge I have is I think that competition feeds off of a scarcity mentality. If there's only so much pie and you're taking my pie, or pie that I could possibly have, if there's only 10 slices and you've taken 5, well, there's only 5 left and I get nervous. But in reality, I feel like life and nature is really a cornucopia of options. Nature produces so many apples, we have to make cider. And then when you use human ingenuity to graft apple trees, clone apple trees, you create a situation where you can be a glutton. We have so much food we can get fat now. Imagine that. When we talk about competition, it makes me think of Steve Jobs and totally blanked out. What's his name? Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. That was it. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Microsoft and Apple. There was this rivalry between the two of them that pushed them. But what I always wonder is, what if Steve Jobs and Bill Gates had actually completely worked together? I think you get to a point where I've just watched Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation too many times, where I think that competition is more an illusion and cooperation is where you achieve the highest utilitarian ideal, which means that you get the greatest good for the greatest number of people. The reason why I'm shooting this video is I can make use of my time and I can produce the greatest good for the greatest number of people in the shortest amount of time. When I put out this video and put it up on YouTube, I've been given a nearly free way of putting out content and information that helps people. I can increase the good. I don't feel competition when somebody else puts out a video that helps somebody out. I'm trying to encourage massage therapists to do that. I'm trying to help massage therapists, if you want to look at it that way, compete with me. But But why would I do that? And it's like, fundamentally, I don't feel like there's a competition, because what I've done is I put myself in this tiny niche marketplace where I'm going to appeal to the number of people I appeal to. And it's gotten to the stage where I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to take on new clients because I'm just too busy. The notion of competition, particularly in our industry as massage therapists, just doesn't stand up for me at all. If you're all selling a commodity, then maybe we get into some notion of competition. But I'm selling a session called a reboot that's 3 hours long that nobody knows what the hell it is. I don't have a competition problem, I have an education problem, thus all the video content. Competition as a whole in society, if you're not careful, you can push capitalism to a point where, when people talk about they go down to the ghetto and they're afraid. Well, here's the thing. The people who live in a disenfranchised area of a town or community, who don't have access to jobs and resources to better themselves, they're going to start looking at people who have things as ways of getting the things that they need. I'm not trying to justify poor people, robbing and stealing, but at a certain point, that's what poverty produces. The reason we, put out tax monies and do certain things as a society as a whole, even as a capitalist country or quasi-capitalist, is because it's better for society as a whole. I generally am for completely socialized healthcare, and if they raise my taxes to do so, I don't care. I'm tired of paying for bombers. I'm tired of paying for weapons and armaments. I'm hearing daily about we bombed Syria, we just bombed Afghanistan again. I don't want to pay for that at all. Now, if the kid across the street needs some medical care, I'd be more than happy to write a check for that. That's how I feel about it. Because to me, my neighbor's well-being influences my neighborhood. It influences my house's market value. It influences my well-being because I don't want to see other people hurt and in pain. I don't think fundamentally, and I'm just working this out with you here, I don't think competition exists. It only exists if you're in a closed system where the pie doesn't increase or grow smaller. When this fluctuates, that's a different scenario in my mind. I don't think competition exists, and it gets to the point when you talk about, we talked about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. What about open source software? A good friend and colleague of mine loves open source software because he feels like it gives people tools to continue to pushing software forward that gives people the capacity to optimize their lives more quickly. It gives them more options, more choices, which he sees as a good thing. Do I want to shut down people's choice? No, not at all. Do I really think there's competition? Nah, not really. I just don't. There's some illusion there that I can't quite fully figure out. It's something that I beat my head against a brick wall on several times, and I'm still trying to figure out what the deal is, because let's say as an educator in my industry, if there are other really great educators, are they my competition? No. What I really wish is those educators would contact me, reach out to me and say, hey, I want to do a series of classes with you. Because the students get more by seeing two different perspectives, because my perspective isn't going to speak to every student. But if I sat and taught a class with John Barnes or Walt Fritz, Jason Erickson, if I did a talk with Diane Jacobs, I'm trying to think, Eric Dalton, who's another great provider. Anyway, if I did classes with those individuals, people get a broader perspective. I don't feel like there's competition. I feel like there's a lack of education. That's why I've been pushing video content so heavily. Competition leads to a really, I think, sad mindset. It's like, does Kmart compete with Walmart? And I think you could say yes on a level, but they're actually offering a different brand. We've got room in the marketplace. Nike, Reebok, and Adidas all sell shoes and athletic wear. does Nike feel like they lose out on a huge part of the marketplace? I have a generalized distrust of monopolies, as do I think most Americans. You know, we've had antitrust legislation passed in the United States to break up large monopoly businesses. Does competition exist? And I think specifically in the massage industry, we have such a personalized industry where we're dealing with individuals that I just don't see it being the case at all. I'm happy to hear your comments about it, and if you have thoughts, just right below at the YouTube video, I'll be happy to chat with you about it. You guys have a great day. It's a Thursday, and I'll see you tonight at Time Massage Jam. Have a great one.